Open Mic is a podcast brought to you by Bethel Express of America.
All right, so we're back. Next episode, Open Mic. Julia Peace. Mike Peace.
And Hero. Small H.
There you go.
Love it. So today we're going to kind of talk about what's going on in Rochester, specifically focusing on education piece that has been historically pretty. It's an uphill battle here. In our schools, and we were talking off the air, even noticing it. My wife works in a school; she's a school psychologist. Noticing even like in the suburban schools too, not just the urban schools, like how hard it is with the education. Not even blaming it. It's not the kids' fault; they're not doing anything.
Right?
It's just things that are happening in our city, things that are happening in our schools. So we kind of want to talk about that. So I want to hear like your perspectives on what you're observing with the kids that you're working with, because you obviously have Bethel Express working with kids. So kind of tell me what's happening
in late 2021. In the summer of 2021. So that was a year after, obviously after the COVID, at least the onset of COVID. I was working with another friend of mine, and she wanted I was helping her get one of her kids that she works with in the city into a Christian school. I know the principal of the school, and I know everybody, the church, everything related to it. And so he says, "Okay, Mike, we'll just let him come in and do some testing, and we'll figure out what's going on." And he said that he would even pay for it. They had some scholarships available. I was like, "Oh, praise God, that's good." And so he calls me up the same day. Well, he calls me up later on in the day after the exam, and he says, "Mike, we're not going to be able to take him." I said, "Well, how come, man? He said, where he lives?" No, Mike, you know me better than that. So what's going on? He said, he has too much learning loss. We're not going to be able to. And some words you don't even have to ask what they mean. Yeah. Learning loss is about as clear as it needs to be. Yeah. But once I began to look, research what it meant, what it really means, not just the definition, but what does that mean in depth and value? Yeah. I was like, whoa. And so he said maybe in a year, but he's going to have to do a lot of work, because some schools did not close during the pandemic. Most Christian schools did not. Yeah. They were big on protection. So so life went on, education moved on, and kids continued to progress. And so the big thing, is learning loss. And we do praise the Lord about our graduation rate, 100% graduation rate from kids who come to us to stay with us and everything. And I started to get concerned when I started to see how the kids were writing. And I'm like, okay, some teachers are accepting this stuff. Some of these kids, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm not liking it. I'm not digging it even a little bit. Like I'm not even going to fall back a little bit on this. This is not good. And so it's learning loss. Learning is a very serious thing. This is not a secret that in the Rochester City School District, it's known in Albany, and it's known here. I wish people would talk about it more, but it is not a secret that the kids in the Rochester City School District school are 2 grade levels behind. Yeah. So that means there's no if. Let's embrace that for a moment. Let's consider that for a moment. Yeah. So a 12th grader is really a 10th grader. 10th grader is really an 8th grader. An 8th grader is really a 6th grader in terms of performance. Sure. 6th grader is really a 4th grader. 4th grader is really a 2nd grader. A 2nd grader is preschool. Kindergarten. Kindergarten. And I'm like, but when I see how these kids are writing and how they write and what they're saying, it's like, this is not acceptable to us as Bethel Express. And I know that sounds like all I care about is the kids in Bethel Express, as if I don't care about kids in the city of Rochester, really. Yeah. But those are the ones that we have some say in, because we have a role in their lives. Yeah. And especially if we want to say that they're graduating, from high school and going on to college, it's like we have to get them ready for that. There's a young lady that we know I'll be careful how I say this, but she thinks that she's doing very well in school.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I looked at the report card, and the report card says that she's, doing A+ work in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how do you say 11 in Spanish? She did not know.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks later, I asked her, how do you say Thursday in Spanish? She did not know. How are you doing A+ work? You don't know the days of the week?
The simple.
You don't know the numbers?
Basic.
Like, what are you learning? Even as, we're learning sentences. Well, sooner or later, you're going to have to know how to say, I will see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
I would like to spend $11. That kind of a thing. And so we're very concerned about that. And I don't want to speak like rain cloud concerned. We're just like, okay, something's not good here.
Just observing.
Yeah, something's not right. And we as Bethel Express are going to do whatever we can to help with learning loss related to the kids that are experiencing that, because they're not going to be prepared for the workforce either.
Yeah.
And so whether it's college, workforce, military, we want them to be, we teach them this all the time, BOTB, best of the best.
Yeah.
Not arrogantly, but just because that's an expectation.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to get somebody's attention about the Lord when you have their attention about everything but the Lord.
Sure.
You could be a good basketball player. I've got your attention. Well, let me tell you about the Lord.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And so that's where we're coming from. That's the first thing that we're concerned about. So we're going to do some throughout the course of the summer, because it's too late now to do anything about it this school year. But throughout the summer, we're going to do some. I'm going to have some people come in with our kids, and we're going to
teachers,
and gauge their level of their learning loss.
That's good.
So we could get them back up to the curve.
Right.
So they'll be able to perform legitimately at the grade level that they're in. And in fact, we're going to try to get them to be ahead of the grade level by the time they go back to school in September.
That's good.
And and I had the video footage on my phone of a news report on Channel 8 here in Rochester with one of the board members, Rochester City School board members, actually Cynthia Elliott. She said, it was in the news, so I'm not saying anything. She said somebody should be in jail for allowing our kids to get this far, and these kids are below 2 grades below.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thought that goes to my mind is, I still haven't seen or heard anything going on. She said that back in November. I read the article the last week of October in the Democrat and Chronicle that said all of this stuff, and I'm like, is someone doing something? Like, what's going on here?
You guys are.
I haven't heard anything. So you're right. And like we call ourselves the anti-urban plight. So we will do something about it. That's not arrogant, really. I mean, it's a major undertaking.
Yeah.
And I do not want to feel, and this is my personal thing, I do not want to feel like I'm looking at a towering inferno and I'm shooting a water gun to try to put out the fire. I don't want that. I don't want to feel that way. We are going to do some things that would be effective. So that's the first one. But of course,
I want to say something to that, because we have the component: spiritual strength, social stability, scholastic success, and socially, kids need a lot of work and help.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we see it prevalent within a lot of kids that in engaging with people. Well, hello. Oh, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good.
Learning to carry on a conversation.
Teach them a conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of, and I find that it seems like sometimes it's easier to have a kid just do a game rather than engaging them.
Sure.
It's not to speak ill of parenting, but we notice that's a big cluster of kids of learning how to engage in conversation, which is important, because one of the other things is people say you can't do well if you don't know how to write, if you can't read. Yeah. So now we're seeing that that's a big deficit, and I'm really excited because that was one of the areas that is really near and dear to him right now, and there's an urgency for it. We were sidelined for a while because of COVID. But now we're going to get back on track to do that tutoring that's needed, the preparation, and getting the house prepared. Because we
Our
actually
ministry house,
our
house of
ministry house,
ministry.
because actually it became like a storehouse. Storehouse for equipment.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he
for
remembers.
equipment. Yeah,
Yeah.
food also, because
Yeah.
we put food out across the street. So we're gonna have to reconfigure how we're gonna use this house for those areas, because now the need for food is even greater because of disparities in households and the monies that they're bringing in. So I'm excited that something's going to be done more for kids. To help get them back on track.
Tell me about what that process looked like. You have people that are already involved that are teachers, or you're reaching out to like a school that has educators, or what's that?
Yes, I have some friends who are retired teachers, 25, 30 years in the district, and we've been talking about literacy anyway. And I said, you're the kind of people I need to talk to about this kind of stuff. So we have people who, they're sticklers about that. And then I know some people at Roberts Wesleyan College. It's not a Roberts Wesleyan College thing, but there's some people I know at Roberts Wesleyan that I've been talking to about measurement of learning loss.
Yeah.
And so
that's a big topic.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Right.
And so that's really what we're going to do. So as I said before, we're going to start with our kids.
Yeah.
And take it from there.
Sure.
But so that's, and we just had a board meeting this week, and I'm talking about all of this stuff, and the chairman of our board, he said, so what are you going to do now? Because I kept saying we're going to do something. He said, what are you going to do?
Right.
And when I told him, he went, okay.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
And you do
Good
have
plan.
a plan, and we're praying, because there's a possibility of some grant monies to actually put that in force.
Private
private grant money. And we had good tutors. Some of our own leaders were involved with it, Ben Reed and Cameron Hall. But we had a lovely couple, Pam and Ludi Buki, I'm sorry. They are retired. I'm excited for them. They live half-time in Florida and then in Keuka. But we're looking for people of that caliber. He was an engineer. She was working for MIT, but doing so many things. But they were excellent, and they really cared. And then it came to a point where it was just things were not pulling through, because we have to take into consideration, we have to pick the kids up.
Yeah.
We thought about at different areas where they're at, or seeing how we could partner with a tutoring facility.
Sure.
So,
different
getting
options.
them the right place, But we have a lot of kids that are in aftercare, so they were doing things there.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely not convenient.
That's for sure.
not.
The problems are like things that like this of this nature are never convenient, but I think it's good that you're getting people that are experts.
Yeah.
I think that's key. I mean, some people wouldn't do that, but like I think that's like a huge thing that I'm taking away from what you're saying. Getting experts, people that know how to educate really well, have had experience, bringing people in like that, I think is a huge, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is they care.
Right.
And the third thing is they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another aspect to that is because when we were getting the kids, we had to feed them too.
Yeah.
So, and
It's after school.
Carolyn McCrae would make wonderful meals for us, for the kids. They were looking forward to that.
Sometimes I wonder if they wanted to go to tutoring just so they could get the good food.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, that's what it takes.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
Whatever
you
it
get 'em there,
takes.
that's
Yeah.
right.
And-
You do
and-
your math, you get the mac,
Get the mac and cheese.
It's not a gimmick. It's a necessity.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And I think it's really great that again that you're bringing in people that know what they're doing, that are here to help. And you have an example already of one of your kids, Lamara.
Yeah.
Like, it's possible. She was in the era of those kids.
Oh, definitely.
She graduated
Yeah.
earlier
Yeah,
than
yeah,
anyone
early,
else.
yeah.
And I would venture to say that she would tell us that she worked really hard. For
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like, that's not
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
Even if you had all the stuff in place for you, like it's not an easy task.
Yeah,
But I think it's a
definitely.
necessary task to have for the kids that are gonna eventually take over.
Yeah. Oh,
The world.
there you go. That's right. That's right.
And that's always been your mindset with Bethel Express. I remember when we did. Were you there for the I Am Rochester release?
Yes.
Ronnie Pollock talked
Yes.
about the 7 generation mentality and how that's a very important thing with the Iroquois. I'm blanking on
Native First Nations.
I forgot what they call Iroquois here. There's a name for it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah,
That's okay.
it's slipping my mind
But
too. I know what you're talking about.
The 7 generation principle, this idea that you're not just doing it for even the next generation, but generations to follow, and how this one act can impact, and how we're finding some of those impacts from generations before us that are impacting us now.
Right,
people
right.
the selfish decisions that were made that are now coming to catch up with us, all that sort of thing. So it's like you're not only against what's happening now, you're against all this other stuff that's coming into play from years and decades of it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys have always been like, what can we do here now with the kids that God has brought us? And sometimes it can feel like a small thing that maybe a couple kids, but that can have a huge impact.
Oh, definitely.
Like we think we have to get thousands and thousands, and maybe it'll lead up to that. But even just getting 10, 20 kids.
Oh, yeah.
That can have a huge impact. And
well,
I think that's important.
As much as we don't ignore certain things, we just don't acknowledge them when it comes to us as a ministry. We know of everything that's going on with the urban plight. We know everything that's going on in the city. The kids bring it to us. They text it to us throughout the course of the week, especially on Saturdays. So if we wanted to get away from it, we would not be able to. So we are well connected with that. So we don't. It's not that we ignore it. We just don't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Because when you acknowledge something, sometimes you feed it.
Yeah.
But the reason I said that as a preface is because we don't ignore poverty. We just acknowledge what's going on. But because we're such an impoverished city when it comes to children, that poverty leaks into education and academic performance. So we find ourselves having to offset both to make them both work together, eventually.
That's great.
And it's moving forward.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I always say this. I will always say this. I have a college degree, but I say college is not for everybody. But if what you want to do requires college, you're either going to have to go to college or you're going to have to change what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
But we still want them to be fit to be able to fit into the workforce.
Yeah.
And so there are things that we have to teach academically to get them to the point that they can even fill out an application.
And how to interview.
And how to interview,
That's still a thing you got to do.
Yeah,
It hasn't changed.
Definitely. Oh,
even
you
if
got
you're
that
doing,
right.
Even if you're doing like contract work, I mean, you still got to meet with the people that you're contracting with. Like that hasn't changed.
There's no getting around it. And so those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about, and we're concerned about.
Yeah.
Because it's right in front of our face, and we do not want our kids to fall into the hole of the tangle of pathology, or the tangle of poverty.
Yeah.
They don't have to. Even if that's what exists, that has nothing to do with where they're headed.
Absolutely.
A friend of mine once said to me, he said, I cannot account for how my mother raised me. He says, but when I get old enough, he says, that's when I become responsible for me.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We don't say anything bad about kids' parents. They Chuck will ever say that we ever do that. We say certain things that, of course, that the kid is saying, well, that describes my mother, but that's not what we're trying to do. But we want them to understand, because we always say, just because we don't say anything doesn't mean that we don't see anything.
Sure.
Now, of course, if it's something serious, we're going to do something.
Danger.
But if it's something like your mother's always cursing at you and stuff like that, we'd have to change your mother. Your mother's not even in the house. So how are we going to get her to connect? But we can do something about you so that you will know what to do going forward. And so when it comes to poverty and all of the things like the fatherlessness and all of that other kind of stuff, we get it, we understand it. But what about you, though?
Yeah.
Why don't you take this box and work with this box in your life? And that's what we're doing with them. And so education is a big piece, of course. And so we're going to do that throughout the course of the summer, to get them, up to where they
Yeah.
need to be. So stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah, we'll hear the praise reports. On
Yeah,
the other side.
definitely. Thank you, Hero, for saying that.
I like that mindset's interesting because, like you're saying, you're not ignoring it, but or you're not ignoring it, but you're not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
I think that's super important because it's kind of like, all the statistics about Rochester, and it's like, duh.
Right.
What does that do? Like we know it.
Yeah.
Duh.
And
I think if you just get stuck on that, then there's never a solution. You just keep
Right.
You just keep talking about it. Like, yes, these are the statistics. This is this, and you just like keep going in circles. Okay, let's do something.
This must stop.
Yeah.
This is an outrage.
Yeah.
People need to go to jail. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you said, the mom swearing. Okay, yeah, that's happening, and that's not great. But what can we do? How can we help the kids? How can we, come alongside with it? So I think that's great. It has more of a solution. It's more of a solution-driven mindset.
Thank you. Yes.
And sometimes in the social aspect, we want to help shield them from cruel comments.
Yeah.
You have kids that come out and their house may have a different kind of aroma.
Yeah.
So I keep a perfume stick. Here you go.
Yeah.
Put it,
Yeah, exactly.
You have this, you need that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those things, and well, once again, it's our S factor. In this order of priority: spiritual strength, social stability, scholastic success. We are convinced, and God has proven it. Well, He gave us the formula. We reach them spiritually, it leaks into them socially.
Yeah.
In every aspect of their social lives. And then, of course, it leaks into them academically.
Yeah. It's a tier system.
Yeah, exactly. Because we just don't want. I said this to our board members, and all of it. We have an amazing board members. We have amazing board, amazing, incredible. And I told them, we spent most of the meeting this week with me, basically, and I was telling them all the things that are going on in the city. And I said, well, you're seeing the same news reports, but I said, but it comes to us every Saturday.
Yeah.
Or when we go out with the kids at any point during the week. It comes to us. It's ever with us, okay? And I said it to them like that. And I said, Julia and I want you to know we're getting it. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing as Bethel Express. The leaders, we have amazing, incredible leaders too. This is what we are doing. So when you hear about this, you already know what's going on. That's the A. The B is, if anyone ever talks to you about certain things, you could tell them, well, I know some people that are doing this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't hear anybody say what anybody is doing, you're thinking no one's doing anything.
Yeah.
And that
you
is
go to BethelExpress.org. You can donate money to them. You can support them.
There you go.
There you go. There's your solution.
There you
Do
go.
something about
BethelExpress.org. Yeah.
If people are doing something, get behind it.
Yeah. We're doing it. We're doing as much as we can.
Yeah.
And some things are less challenging than others, and some are more challenging than others. But we are up to the task, and we are not going to stand in front of a burning house with a water gun.
Yeah.
It doesn't
because
water does put out fires. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. And I want to just say, like, they're not paying me to say this, but the money that you donate to Bethel Express does go to real kids. It does help real people. I know every time my wife and I donate money, Mike calls me and says, this is where your money went. And I think that's really important. And I don't want to say that. I mean, there's other organizations that might not do that, but I know this one. I know Bethel Express does do that for sure. And there's real change. So if you're experiencing passion about this subject and you're also upset, then get behind an organization that actually does something about it. Because maybe you don't have the time to do it, but you have the resources. And that is being a part of the solution just as much as anything else.
Most definitely.
Because we do need the resources. We do need money to do the things we're doing. And obviously we trust in God to provide. But if you're hearing this right now and you're like, yes, I need to do something about it, then do something about it.
And,
Yes, sir.
And we're going to start putting on the website certain needs, physical needs that we have that people can put towards.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people do it. We should be too.
absolutely. So again, BethelExpress.org. If you want to do something, if you want to see your city impacted, please go there. Just remember, it's Haudenosaunee. That is the people. I apologize for not knowing that.
Yeah, there you go.
I just remembered it. Haudenosaunee people.
Yes.
But yeah, go to the website, get involved, help our kids, help their kids to get back on track with their schooling.
Yeah.
That is key for going forward. So be blessed and have a great day. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.